In a world where brilliance and mortality walk hand in hand, three extraordinary lives lit up the American stage and screen before fading into history. Dick Cheney, the power behind the throne, a man whose decisions shaped nations. Diane Ladd, a Southern soul who poured her heart into every role, leaving behind a legacy of raw, emotional truth. And Harris Yulin, the quiet craftsman of Hollywood, a master of depth and nuance who never needed fame to make his mark. Their stories span politics, art, and the enduring power of human will. Today, we journey through their lives, their triumphs, and their final days, not to mourn, but to remember how they changed the world in their own unforgettable ways. Diane Ladd's life was a long and brilliant journey through the heart of American cinema, a story of endurance, artistry, and love. Born on November 29, 1935, in Meridian, Mississippi, she grew up in the Deep South during an era when dreams often felt far away. But Diane's spirit was restless, creative, and fierce. Her parents, Mary and Preston Ladner, saw that spark early on, a child who loved storytelling, music, and the rhythm of human emotion. That spark would guide her into a lifetime of performance, one that would make her name synonymous with passion, resilience, and talent that defied decades. From a young age, she was drawn to the stage. She studied acting in New York, honing her craft among the gritty theaters of Broadway and the studios of the Actors Studio, where method acting demanded honesty and vulnerability. Diane absorbed it all. Her early years were not easy. She worked odd jobs, faced rejection after rejection, but her resolve never broke. Eventually, she began landing small television roles, then film parts, gradually earning a reputation for being intense, authentic, and unafraid to bare her soul on screen. Her breakthrough came in 1974 with Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, directed by Martin Scorsese. Her portrayal of Flo, a brash and bold waitress with a heart of gold, won her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. That performance was electric, funny, raw, and deeply human. It captured everything Diane was as an artist: fearless, emotional, and alive. She would go on to receive 2 more Oscar nominations, one for Wild at Heart in 1990, and another for Rambling Rose in 1991, a film in which she acted alongside her real-life daughter, Laura Dern. The fact that both mother and daughter were nominated for Oscars for the same movie was a first in Hollywood history, and it became a defining moment in both of their careers. But behind the glamour was a life marked by both heartbreak and triumph. Diane's first marriage was to actor Bruce Dern, a union that brought her not only love but also deep personal pain. The couple's relationship was volatile, driven by artistic passion and emotional turbulence. They divorced in 1969, but their shared love for their daughter, Laura, always connected them. Diane poured herself into motherhood, fiercely protective and endlessly supportive. She saw in Laura the same fire that burned within her, the same hunger to create, to express, to feel deeply. Together, they would go on to form one of the most respected mother-daughter duos in the history of film. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Diane worked tirelessly, often appearing in both major studio projects and independent films. She didn't care about stardom or trends, she cared about truth. Whether she was playing eccentric characters in David Lynch's surreal landscapes or grounding more conventional dramas with her emotional depth, Diane's presence always commanded attention. She was the kind of actress who didn't need to say much. Her eyes, her silence, her subtle expressions told entire stories. Beyond acting, she was also a writer, director, and activist. She believed deeply in storytelling as a way to heal, to connect, and to reveal what people hide. She spoke openly about the challenges women face in Hollywood, especially older actresses who are often pushed aside once they no longer fit the industry's narrow definitions of beauty. Diane refused to disappear. She kept working, kept shining, kept proving that talent and authenticity never age. Her later years were filled with both personal joy and deep reflection. She collaborated with her daughter Laura in several projects, including HBO's Enlightened, where their real-life bond translated into profound emotional chemistry on screen. Off-screen, Diane faced serious health challenges, including a battle with pneumonia that doctors once said she might not survive. But, in typical Diane Ladd fashion, she defied expectations. She recovered, grew stronger, and even wrote a book with Laura called Honey, Baby, Mine, inspired by the conversations they shared during long walks while she healed. That book became not only a reflection on family but also a testament to resilience, forgiveness, and the power of love between generations. Diane's life was never about perfection, it was about perseverance. She believed in honesty above all else, in living truthfully and passionately even when the world didn't applaud. Her philosophy could be summed up by something she once said: "You can't wait for the right time to live your dreams. You have to create that time every single day." And she did. Over a career that spanned more than 6 decades, she appeared in over 120 films and television shows, earned 3 Oscar nominations, and influenced countless younger performers who saw in her a model of courage and grace. On November 3, 2025, Diane Ladd passed away at the age of 89 in California. Her death marked the end of an era for classic Hollywood, one that prized depth, storytelling, and emotional truth over spectacle. Her passing was met with tributes from across the world, from directors she worked with, from co-stars who admired her strength, and most movingly, from her daughter Laura Dern, who called her "my teacher, my heart, and my best friend." Even in death, Diane Ladd's presence feels alive. Her performances remain timeless, each role a portrait of humanity in all its messy, beautiful complexity. She taught audiences that strength and sensitivity can coexist, that art can come from pain, and that aging is not the end of relevance but the beginning of wisdom. Her legacy isn't just in the awards or the films. It's in the generations of artists she inspired to tell the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. Diane Ladd's life was a love letter to art, to family, and to the relentless pursuit of meaning. She lived with courage, she worked with integrity, and she died surrounded by the love she spent a lifetime giving. In the world of Hollywood, where fame is fleeting, her spirit endures, fierce, luminous, and unforgettable. Dick Cheney's life story is a reflection of ambition, discipline, and the often invisible machinery of power in Washington. Born on January 30, 1941, in Lincoln, Nebraska, Richard Bruce Cheney grew up in the wide-open plains of Wyoming, a land that shaped his self-reliant character. His father worked for the Department of Agriculture, his mother was a softball champion, and young Dick learned early the value of hard work and loyalty. He wasn't an exceptional student at first. He actually dropped out of Yale before eventually finishing his degree at the University of Wyoming. But those who knew him then already recognized his quiet intelligence and his unshakable determination. It was there that he met Lynn Vincent, who would become not just his wife but his partner in every sense, the intellectual and emotional counterpart to his calculating political mind. After college, Cheney's road to Washington began almost by accident. He started as an intern during the Nixon administration and quickly proved himself invaluable, detail-oriented, pragmatic, and utterly dependable. When most sought attention, Cheney sought influence. He rose to become White House Chief of Staff under President Gerald Ford, one of the youngest people ever to hold that position. There, he gained a reputation as a master bureaucratic operator, someone who could quietly steer decisions, block rivals, and keep his boss's agenda on course. He didn't need cameras or applause. What he wanted was control, and control he had. When Ford lost the 1976 election, Cheney returned home to Wyoming and ran for Congress. He won easily, representing the state in the House of Representatives for more than a decade. In Congress, he stood out for his sharp conservative mind and unshakable support for national defense. He was pragmatic but firm, never a bomb thrower, but a man who always seemed to know the right corridors of power to walk through. He climbed steadily until President George H.W. Bush tapped him to become Secretary of Defense in 1989. That appointment thrust Cheney into the global spotlight. When Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait in 1990, Cheney played a crucial role in shaping America's response. He worked closely with General Colin Powell to design Operation Desert Storm, a swift, devastating military campaign that pushed Iraqi forces out of Kuwait in a matter of weeks. America's overwhelming victory elevated Cheney's national stature. He was praised for his calm decisiveness and strategic mind. But even then, he avoided the grandstanding that defined so many in Washington. To Cheney, the mission was always what mattered, not the glory. When Bill Clinton took office in 1993, Cheney stepped back from government and entered the private sector, becoming CEO of Halliburton, one of the largest oilfield services companies in the world. Under his leadership, Halliburton expanded globally, and Cheney made millions. Critics later accused him of conflicts of interest when Halliburton received government contracts during the Iraq War, but Cheney dismissed such claims as political noise. By 2000, he had already built a life that combined wealth, influence, and deep connections across politics and industry. Then came George W. Bush. When Bush asked Cheney to help him select a vice presidential running mate, Cheney's team began the search, only for Bush to decide that Cheney himself was the best choice. Reluctantly, or perhaps strategically, Cheney accepted. What followed was one of the most consequential partnerships in modern U.S. history. The 2000 election was bitterly contested, ending in a Supreme Court decision that handed Bush and Cheney the presidency. Cheney entered office as a veteran of Washington's power games, a man who understood how to get things done behind closed doors. But everything changed on September 11, 2001. When the plane struck the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, Cheney was rushed to a secure bunker beneath the White House. In that dark moment, as chaos reigned, he became the unseen commander, giving orders to shoot down hijacked planes if necessary, coordinating with defense and intelligence agencies, and shaping America's response to an unimaginable threat. The war on terror that followed bore Cheney's imprint. He pushed for the invasion of Afghanistan, arguing that America could never again allow a safe haven for terrorists. But his most controversial decision was the push for war in Iraq. Cheney was convinced that Saddam Hussein possessed weapons of mass destruction, and he was equally convinced that removing him was essential to protecting the United States. The 2003 invasion of Iraq toppled Hussein's regime but also unleashed years of instability, loss, and political division. To many, Cheney became the embodiment of American overreach. The cold strategist who justified torture, defended secret prisons, and expanded government surveillance in the name of security. Cheney, however, never apologized. He believed his duty was to protect the nation, not to please the public. He once said, "It's my job to call it as I see it, and I don't lose sleep over what people think." His tenure redefined the role of the vice president, turning it from a ceremonial post into a central hub of national power. Behind that tough exterior, though, was a man constantly battling his own mortality. He suffered his first heart attack at age 37, followed by several more over the years. He underwent multiple bypass surgeries, had a defibrillator implanted, and finally received a heart transplant in 2012. He joked about it often, but those close to him said he carried a constant awareness of death, and perhaps a certain acceptance of it. In his later years, Cheney's public appearances grew rarer. He focused on family, particularly his daughters Liz and Mary. When Liz Cheney entered Congress, she carried the family torch, often defending the same conservative values her father championed. Yet, in the years after the Trump presidency, both father and daughter found themselves at odds with their own party, warning against authoritarianism and the erosion of democratic norms. It was a striking turn, the once shadowy power player standing as a voice of constitutional principle, On November 3, 2025, Dick Cheney died at the age of 84 from complications related to heart and lung disease. His death marked the end of an era, the passing of a man whose presence had loomed large over American politics for half a century. Tributes poured in from presidents, lawmakers, and world leaders. Some praised him as a patriot who kept America safe after its darkest day. Others condemned him as the architect of endless war and the symbol of unchecked executive power. Both sides, however, agreed on one thing: Cheney changed the office of the vice president forever. In the final analysis, Dick Cheney's story is one of paradox. He was both feared and respected, reviled and admired. He believed in strength, secrecy, and the cold calculus of national survival. His shadow still lingers over U.S. foreign policy, intelligence operations, and the way America sees its own power. He once said he didn't care about being loved by history, only about ensuring that the country endured. And perhaps that's the essence of Dick Cheney's life, a man who sought not glory but control, not applause but results. He lived by conviction, ruled by strategy, and left behind a legacy that will be debated for generations to come. Harris Yulin was born on November 5, 1937, in Los Angeles, California. His early life was unconventional. As an infant, he was placed in an orphanage and later adopted by a family of Russian Jewish descent. From the beginning, his journey was shaped by curiosity and independence. Before he ever stepped onto a stage, Yulin lived a life filled with exploration, traveling through Europe, spending time in Italy and Israel, even trying his hand at painting. But eventually, his fascination with human emotion and storytelling drew him toward acting. He began his formal training when he returned to the United States, studying under the renowned acting coach Jeff Corey. In 1963, he made his New York stage debut in Next Time I'll Sing to You, marking the start of a career that would span more than 6 decades. Yulin's early years in theater laid the foundation for his remarkable control, depth, and intensity as a performer, traits that would define him across film, television, and stage. In the 1970s, Harris Yulin transitioned from theater to film, beginning a long and distinguished screen career. One of his first significant film roles was in Doc in 1971, where he portrayed the legendary lawman Wyatt Earp. The film marked the emergence of a performer who could effortlessly command attention without overstatement. Soon after, his strong presence and sharp intelligence led him into a series of memorable roles that showcased his range, from villains and corrupt officials to wise mentors and flawed men. One of his defining performances came in 1983 with Scarface, where he played the cynical, morally compromised detective Mel Bernstein. His portrayal added a layer of realism and tension to one of cinema's most iconic crime sagas. In 1989, Yulin brought humor and authority to Ghostbusters 2 as Judge Stephen Wexler, a performance that reminded audiences of his ability to move seamlessly between drama and comedy. Throughout his film career, Yulin appeared in nearly 200 productions, from independent dramas to major Hollywood projects, always leaving an impression even in small roles. On television, Harris Yulin became a familiar and respected presence. He made appearances in numerous acclaimed series, including Frasier, for which he received an Emmy nomination in 1996. In his later years, he reached a new generation of viewers through shows like Ozark, where he played a quietly powerful role that demonstrated he hadn't lost an ounce of his presence or skill. He had that rare gift, the ability to inhabit every role completely, no matter how large or small. His career in theater remained equally strong. On Broadway, he starred in productions such as Watch on the Rhine, The Diary of Anne Frank, Hedda Gabler, and The Price. On stage, his voice carried depth and conviction, and his performances were known for a kind of grounded realism that came only from years of craft and dedication. For Yulin, acting was never just a job, it was an act of exploration, a search for truth in every character he portrayed. Offstage, Harris Yulin lived a life guided by quiet discipline and genuine love for the art. He was once romantically involved with actress Faye Dunaway in the early 1970s, and later married actress Gwen Wells, remaining with her until her passing in 1993. In his later years, he married Kristen Lohman. Friends and colleagues often described him as thoughtful, kind, and uncompromisingly committed to his work. Even into his 80s, he continued to perform, refusing to retire because, as he once said, he could not imagine stopping something he loved so deeply. Harris Yulin passed away on June 10, 2025, in New York City at the age of 87. His death was met with an outpouring of tributes from across the entertainment world. Actors, directors, and fans alike remembered him not just for the roles he played, but for the quiet integrity and intensity he brought to every performance. He represented the best kind of actor, the kind who might never chase fame, but whose face and voice become a lasting part of cinematic memory. His legacy is profound. Harris Yulin showed that true artistry lies in commitment and depth rather than celebrity. He bridged the gap between theater and film, between leading men and character actors, proving that passion and precision could sustain a lifetime in the craft. Even in the smallest roles, his presence could shift the tone of a scene, making it feel richer, sharper, more alive. To watch him in Scarface, Ghostbusters 2, Frasier, or Ozark is to see an actor who understood the delicate balance between control and spontaneity. His eyes always seemed to carry a secret, his voice a quiet authority. That subtle magic is what made Harris Yulin unforgettable. He was one of those rare performers who never had to shout to be heard. His very being spoke volumes. Harris Yulin's story is one of endurance, passion, and artistic truth. He lived for his craft, refined it with care, and left behind a body of work that continues to inspire actors and audiences alike. Though he is gone, the characters he brought to life, fierce, complex, and deeply human, will keep speaking for him long after the curtain falls. As the curtain falls on these lives, what remains is not the sound of applause, but the echo of purpose. Dick Cheney's relentless ambition, Diane Ladd's radiant artistry, and Harris Yulin's quiet intensity each tell us that greatness wears many faces. They lived differently, they fought differently, but they all shared one thing: an unshakable belief in doing what they loved until the very end. Their legacies continue to whisper through history, through every decision, every film, every moment of truth they left behind. And as we look back, we realize that death doesn't silence those who truly lived, it immortalizes them.